Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let's take it a little bit, take it up a little bit. All around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. Now put your hands together now. All around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. What happened to the harmony now? Come on. All around the world, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Now turn to your neighbor and we're singing this little light of mine. Meet somebody now. I'm gonna let it shine. Oh, this little light of mine. Shake a hand. I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. Let it shine. All right, all right.
Welcome. Hey, good to have so many friends here at Coles Commons. I'm Connie Ryan. I'm the Executive Director of Interfaith Alliance of Iowa, and I want to first thank Ben Alloway, who is our song leader, our musician, and you'll hear him in a little while later. But let's thank Ben, please. And I want to thank all of our friends and partners who helped make this vigil happen, either by making calls or asking leaders to be part of this, putting it on Facebook. Thank you so much to all of our partner organizations, especially Abshir Muhammad, who helps me with all of this. So, thank you. And I want to thank everyone. I want to thank you for coming out to shine the light against hate that we saw this weekend, to use your own light to make the world better. We're here to support our friends and neighbors in Charlottesville who experience hate and bigotry and violence from neo-Nazis, white supremacists, hate groups, by whatever name you choose, those perpetuating hate and violence. We are here to stand side by side with our neighbors who are African American, Jewish, Muslim, Latino and Latina, members of the LGBT community, and many others who face hate, bigotry, and violence every day. We are also here to honor Heather Heyer, Lieutenant Jay Cullen, and Trooper Burke Bates, who died because of that hate and the violence of those groups. We are here to say no more. No more to hate, no more to bigotry, no more to violence. I am honored to share the podium with many religious and community leaders who are here to use their voices to shine the light against hate and to move us forward to a better way. Will you please welcome Reverend Ben Bell.
Good evening. It's a pleasure to be here with you. And I firstly want to say that I can't see a person that I don't love. And that's important. Amen? To act in ways that benefit people and bless people and don't burden them. Because hatred is just the opposite. It harms and it hurts. But we want to help people and give them hope and move them forward. And we should always act in ways that do exactly that. Give people hope. Let them know that they are loved and cared for, and that we believe in the intrinsic value of all humanity. Yes? Yes. And if you just want to turn Iowa into an acronym, repeat this with me. Individual opportunity to work toward advocacy. Now look around at all the people who need your advocacy. We all need each other's love. We all need each other's loving touch. Now I want to say this to you. I heard this statement one time, and they said that I love you and there's not a thing that you can do about it. And that is the truth. If you decide you're going to love, nobody can change that. Not one person. Love made my mother work at Drake University for 16 years, cooking for kids who couldn't afford to eat, and slip food out the back door. She's about that tall. Then she moved over to the VA and cooked for veterans for another 26 years. Little short Mississippi, Tennessee girl, loving all people. And she said this to me, she said, son, love doesn't harm. And it never hurt anybody to be nice. And so we have to realize this, that there's something in us that ought to be diametrically opposed to hatred. There should be a light in us that won't let us harm somebody without feeling some way about it that's not good. It should disturb us. When we see other people doing that, we should say, that's not good. That's not us. We're human beings. We are God's highest created order. We should always act in ways that elevate humanity. And I'll tell you this, I can disagree with you, but I shouldn't hurt you because I do. Yes, I can. Don't tell me you agree with everybody. I've been married for 35 years. That's a cute girl I'm married to. We don't always agree. But I won't do anything to harm her because I love her. You got me? Here's what I'm going to say to you. Every single day, the behavior that you do, you make sure that you think about whether it'll help or harm before you say it, laugh about it, or agree with it. And Iowa would be a better place, and the world will hear about the kind of love that we live out of. So repeat it with me one more time. An individual opportunity to work toward advocacy. I love you, and I can do something about it. Thank you, Reverend God. We have the helper down here.
Hello,
just so you know, there's a basket of candles, so later we're going to light candles for the vigil, and feel free to come and get one at any point in time. Don't be shy. I know a lot of you brought your own, but if you didn't, you are welcome to use one of those. We now have Rabbi David Kaufman.
It's really wonderful to see so many people come out tonight. We are all God's children. Jewish tradition tells us that we are all created in God's image. Sometimes, too often if you ask me, that image is reflected with a bit more of a distortion, emphasizing the worst aspects of our nature. And that's what we saw this weekend. We Jews have seen those hate-filled faces before, through many generations in many countries. Too often, historically, those torches have entered Jewish neighborhoods and set synagogues, businesses, and homes aflame. Most of the time, a small percentage of the local population was involved in the violence. The vast majority stood by and watched. Maurice Ogden wrote a poem called The Hangman. It's a bit too long for me to read tonight, but its theme is very important. Ogden's poem is about a hangman who comes into a town and begins to single out people for hanging. He begins with the weakest minority, and then keeps dividing and dividing, separating people out, until the very last person is finally hung on the gallows. The last person to be hung is the hangman's faithful servant, the one who helped the most. Who helped the most, you may ask? The one who helped not by helping others to avoid their fate. The one who stood aside as hatred was raised. The one who justified it, perhaps. I'll read but a few of the last stanzas of the poem. For who has served me more faithfully with your coward's hopes than he? And where are the others that might have stood side by your side in the common good? Dead, I answered, and amiably. Murdered, the hangman corrected me. First the alien, then the Jew. I did no more than you let me do. Beneath the beam that blocked the sky, none before stood so lone as I. The hangman then strapped me with no voice there to cry stay for me in the empty square. The one who did nothing to offend, nothing to get in the way of the one promoting violence and hatred of the others, of the immigrants, of racial or political minorities, of Jews or people of other faiths. We will not be like the hangman's faithful servant. We will not sit by as ideologies based in age-old hatreds against Jews and racial hatreds rise once more. We will not sit as people are condemned for who they are, not because of the color of their skin, nor because of their sexual orientation. Tonight we come together to declare that we will not allow ourselves to remain silent as hatred is offered. We will not be cowed into silence. We will not tolerate the torches of hatred marching through our campuses and our streets, even if as tiki torches they may keep away the mosquitoes. This is our country. This is our home. And may it be always both truly the land of the free and the home of the brave. We must be brave. We will not stand idly by. No more, never again. Thank you.
For those of you who use Twitter, the hashtag is Unite the Love. So if you're posting, if you're putting something on Twitter, Unite the Love. And now we have Reverend Leanne Stubbs.
Good evening. I am honored to be here with you all tonight. It is my privilege to serve as one of the pastors at Plymouth Church here in Des Moines. And I say it is a privilege because Plymouth has such a strong legacy of standing on the side of justice. From our earliest days as an abolitionist congregation to our agitation for civil marriage equality, to our current work with refugee families, Plymouth has been working with God to bend the arc of the moral universe toward justice. It is in that spirit that I stand here tonight to join my voice with all of yours in condemning the racist hatred on display, most recently in Charlottesville. It is simply unacceptable. We seem to be living in a time when some of the worst voices in our communities feel emboldened, when too many of our neighbors seem too willing to do their worst and to say the worst. It is unacceptable. In the face of bigotry, we must tell the truth. And so as a person of faith and as a minister of the gospel, let me be perfectly clear. Racism is anti-Christian. Racism is anti-American. And racism has absolutely no place in a civil society. Condemning the ugliness in Charlottesville is not enough. If we really will heal, if we really will come together to form that more perfect union that we all were promised, then brothers and sisters, beloved of God, those of us who are white have a special responsibility to look at our own selves. And we have a special responsibility to own up to the ways that our fragility and our privilege, and that's not a pretty combination, our fragility and our privilege have been burdens to people of color and barriers to our progress as a people. Above all, and I'm still talking about healing, we need to listen. We need to listen to our brothers and our sisters of color. We need to listen to their stories and their experiences of living in a society that is still so and too deeply racist. We need to listen to them, and then we need to believe what they tell us. And after we have listened, then we can speak. After we have looked inward, then we can speak. We must listen. We must look inward. We must speak. That's why I'm here tonight. That's why you're here tonight. That's what I'm hoping to do. Thank you.
It is my honor to bring to the podium Judge Muhammad, who is representing the Muslim community.
Good evening, all of you.
Good evening.
Good evening. First of all, I would like to thank the God who enabled us to be here. And secondly, I would like to offer my warmest greeting to my fellow faith leaders, community members, and all participants, and those of you who came here to show their love for unity, peace, and coexistence. Like other religions, the Islamic faith has always promoted unity and a global peace and the spirit of unity in human affairs. It is scripture. There are thousands of verses dealing with human coexistence, the importance of human coexistence, social justice, and human brotherhood in the Holy Book. We as a humanists, the more we exist in this life, the more some of us become subject to moral deviations, the more they turn into violence, the more they turn against each other, the more they discriminate each other. But when those things occur, the people of faith and the people like you are the first group who stand against them.
Someone honked a few minutes ago. Might not have been able to hear that.
In the 21st century, we as humanists have already enough problems to deal with. There is diseases. There are diseases, natural disasters, wars, global warming, and we don't need to add a problem named racism or discrimination to those challenges that we are already dealing with. Racism is an evil, as our president has said, and that is a statement that holds the truth. But I'm going to add, any action or any behavior or any treatment that can lead to racism is also considered to be an evil. We humans need to learn from the past.
history has to teach us a lesson. We know what the resistance does and what it did to us. Is there any one of us who is here today is willing to go back to the 40s or 50s? Raise your hand.
No one will raise their hand.
So we know what it did to us, and we don't want to go back to that. We also know where it led to us and what we inherited from the racism when we practice racism or when we apply it, racism to each other. So my conclusion is the future of this battle belongs to those who believe that human progress can only be achieved when people come together, when they work together, when they live side by side, when they respect each other, and when they solve their problems together. Thank you very much.
Next, we have Terry Caldwell Johnson, a person well known to the
More
community.
people are
She
collecting
is
candles.
Executive Director of Homes of Oak Ridge and President of the Des Moines Public Schools. Won't you welcome Terry, please? Thank you, Connie. Good morning, good evening, everyone. I have to admit that I've been at a loss for words watching the events of Charlottesville unfold all weekend long. I really wanted to write something, I wanted to say something, and I wanted to do something, but even in preparing for tonight, every time I tried to put words on a piece of paper, I found millions of competing thoughts and emotions, making it way too difficult for me to write something coherent or even a little bit profound. So instead, I thought that I would share some ways that each and every one of us can all be a part of the solution as we reflect on the horrific incidents in Charlottesville and try to make sense out of this senseless situation. So, number one, act. Do something. In the face of hatred, inaction and apathy will be interpreted as acceptance. Hate is an open attack on tolerance and acceptance. So in the face of hate, silence is deadly. Don't wait to fight hate. Act. Number two, join forces. Reach out to allies from churches, schools, clubs, and other civic groups. More people than we can imagine. Just look around, want to do something, and they don't really even need to be pushed. So reach out. Reach back and reach beyond, so that the Charlottesville of this past weekend is not the Des Moines of next week, next month, or even next year. Join forces. Speak up. Hate must be exposed and denounced. We can spread tolerance through our words and our work. Hate shrivels under strong light. So I challenge each of us to be that light, remembering always that our lives begin to end the day we become silent about the things that matter. Speak up. Number four, stay engaged. Promote acceptance and address bias before another act of violence or hate can occur. Hate usually doesn't strike communities in some distant place. It often happens and begins at home, brewing silently under the surface. The best cure for hate is a united community, united like each and every one of us are tonight. So let's unite. And I challenge you to put the neighbor back in the hood. Finally, number five, dig deep. Commit to disrupting hate and intolerance at home, at school, in the workplace, and in our faith communities. Acceptance is a personal decision, a belief that every voice matters and that all people are valued
and valuable. So as we act, speak out, join forces, engage, and dig deep, I am called to share this quote from the words of Dr. Martin Luther King. Returning violence for violence multiplies violence, adding deeper darkness to a night already devoid of stars. Darkness cannot drive out darkness.
Amen.
Only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate. Only love can do that. Tonight, I choose love. And I hope, Des Moines, you are going to choose love with me. Good evening. Thank you, Terry. We have with us Daniel Hoffman-Ginnell, who is the Executive Director of One Iowa.
Thank you, Connie. Thank you, Kirsten, for putting this together. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So I'm with One Iowa. We work toward preserving and advancing LGBTQ equality here in the state of Iowa, and the LGBTQ community, like many of these marginalized communities represented tonight, have had a history of being attacked by neo-Nazis. If you think about the Holocaust, I'm going to give you a little bit of a history lesson. Do you all know the history of the triangles? For those of you who don't, there were triangles next to the numbers of each Holocaust individual, and each color of that triangle represented why they were imprisoned. And the pink triangle, which is what the LGBTQ community took back, represented individuals that were persecuted and imprisoned because they were LGBTQ. And so our community has had a history of being attacked by white supremacists and neo-Nazis. And so we need to stand together, united, like we are today, and fight back. Here in Iowa, we're not immune to things that happen like what happened in Charlottesville. We think our Iowa niceness will persevere, but we can no longer hide behind our Iowa niceness anymore. Just this last Saturday, on the day of the rally in Charlottesville, at the sweet corn event in Adel, Iowa, one of the vendors was holding up a Confederate flag. So here in Iowa, we still could encounter something just like Charlottesville. If you remember seeing a picture of faith leaders at the rally on Saturday, you probably saw them chanting, "Love has already won." And so we must remember that love will always win. Love has already won, and we need to stand together united in order to combat that racism. And so I'm speaking specifically as a privileged white cisgender man. I'm speaking specifically to my cisgender and white folks especially. We can't just come to rallies like this and call it a day. We need to take action every single day, because we have the luxury of going home and not having to think about racism because we're not impacted, but we are. We can take action, and we must. And so I am challenging each and every one of you to take action every single day, not just on social media, but having those tough conversations with your loved ones, with your neighbors. And always, always, always remember that love will always win. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, Daniel. It is my extreme pleasure to introduce to you Savannah Bruce, who is a Roosevelt grad. Yay, go Roosevelt. Who is going to share a song with us.
Hello everyone, my name is Kendall Bruce with Savannah Bruce. And I'm going to sing a song from a musical I was in at Roosevelt from Hairspray. It's called I Know Where I've Been. And the key words of the song is I know where I'm going because I know where I've been. So, can you hear me? Okay. I got you.
People are asking her to be louder.
There's a light in the darkness, though the night is black as my skin. There's a light burning bright, showing me the way. But I know where I've been.
There's a cry in the distance. There's a voice that comes from deep within. There's a cry asking why. I pray the answer's up ahead. But I know where I've been. There's a road we've been traveling, lost so many on the way, but the riches will be plenty. But the price we had to pay. There's a dream in the future. There's a struggle we have yet to win. And there's pride in my heart, 'cause I know where I'm going. Yes, I do, and I know where I've been. Yeah, there's a road we must travel. There is a promise that we must make. Oh, but the riches will be plenty. Worth the risk and the chances that we take. There's a dream, oh yeah, in the future. There's a struggle that we have yet to win. Use that pride in our hearts to lift us to tomorrow. 'Cause justice is filled with the unseen. Lord knows, I know where I've been.
Thank you so much. And now we have Abshir Muhammad, who is representing Black Lives Matter.
I'll upload it later.
Hello everyone, my name is Abshir Omar Muhammad. My name is Abshir Omar Muhammad, and I am so grateful for each and every one of you who have taken the time out of your day to come up here to the Commons and to stand for social justice, to stand for civil rights, to stand for human rights. What we've seen this past weekend is atrocious, it's un-American, it's fascism in its simplest form. It is neighbor hating neighbor, it is colleague hating colleague, it is Americans tearing down other Americans in the name of white supremacy. It is not white nationalism, it is not economic anxiety, it is hate, it is fear-mongering, it is bigotry, and it is un-American.
Yes, sir.
I am not American by birth, but I'm an American by choice. My family came to this nation because it is a beacon of hope, prosperity, love, and human rights that the entire world has envied. But can we say that the world looking at America last weekend showed any envy for the crime, the hatred, the vitriol that was seen? We were a country that the world envied, where people sought to come here by any means necessary, risking their lives in the sea, crossing our deserts and our southern border to find protection for their family and economic prosperity. People like me who grew up in a refugee camp, waiting and pleading for a visa to come to this country. Luckily, I came to this country in the early 90s, where there was tolerance for immigrants, where we had a government that was not using fear to bring its political agenda to be. We have seen this last couple of years the hate that has grown in our nation, the intolerance that we've seen in our community, and it is not a thing that happens in Charlottesville or Atlanta or LA, but it happens here in Iowa. Many of you may know that this year I have decided to run for city council here in Des Moines. And when I ran, I knew I was going to get, mudslinging, name-calling, but I never expected what I heard and what I felt this year. People were calling me an ISIS agent, a member of Hamas, a member of Fatah, a terrorist, not because of my policies, but because of where I come from, because of my name, because of my ethnic origins, because of the way I came to this nation as an immigrant and a refugee. I've been called every vile name you can think of,
a Muslim.
and some very non-creative ways as well. I am deeply saddened by what I've seen in this country, by its history, and by our willingness not to learn from it, and that we are not willing to accept our history. This nation was born of slavery. It was born of hate. It was born of superiority, and there are those in this country who cannot accept that and say there was nothing wrong with our country. Our Constitution speaks eloquently of civility, of the humanity, that we are all born equal. But reality and history shows us that those rights are conditional. They are conditional based on social contracts of who we allow to be American, of who we allow these laws to protect. And time again, we have seen it fall short. The rights and privileges that our brothers who are LGBTQ have today did not come about because they just fell from the heavens. It came about because people like you and me fighting in the streets saying that love is love. The rights of the people in this country who are disabled did not just come about. It came because of people like you and me saying people with disability are just as American as you and me, and they deserve a free country.
That's right.
The Civil Rights Bill did not come about because we asked nicely. It came about because of bloodshed and death and fighting day in and day out, showing oppression where it is and calling it by its name. Racism, hatred, and bigotry. We as a community cannot just come to these vigils, cannot write Facebook posts, cannot donate to candidates we think will bring about change, but we must bring change about ourselves, neighbor to neighbor, community by community, fighting for freedom for all Americans, regardless of ethnicity, religion, background. We must look inwards at our own bias and learn from it and move past it and embrace one another. And I thank you all for being here. I hope you all stand up for social justice, for human rights, and to say that Black lives matter in this country. Can you please say that one time with me? Black lives matter in this country. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Upstairs
And now we
is
have
also a member
Robin
of my
Cunningham,
mom.
who is with one of the co-founders of the Women's March.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
This is my oldest daughter, Jordan. She's standing up here with me today because just as my son could have been Tamir Rice, she could have been Heather Heyer. History doesn't have to repeat itself. I grew up in several Midwestern states, Illinois, Ohio, and Iowa. I was educated in both public and parochial schools, some of which predominantly white, some of which predominantly black. I lived in neighborhoods that reflected the diversity of America. My parents helped educate me to America's sordid past through national public television, Ebony and Jet magazine. I worked and have known people of diverse economic backgrounds and cultures. I married a white man, and I've been blessed with a rainbow assortment of wonderful children to mold and shape into good citizens and what we hoped would be a racially progressive country. Now, in my heart of hearts, I knew better, so I tried to instill in my children a tolerance for all races, religion, socioeconomic levels, and disability. We've watched Selma, Eyes on the Prize, Roots, and Rosewood, so they would know the sacrifice of ordinary people during extraordinary times, so that they would know history. Here we are in this place where I'd hope we never be again, reminiscent of the times my parents lived through, images on television we thought long past. Ella Wheeler Cox said, to sin by silence when they should protest make cowards of men. There are some guilty of this sin, but I refuse to be, and I'm glad to see so many of you refuse to be too. The events of Saturday should make one thing clear. The alt-right and associated agents of hatred are committed to using violence and killing to get what they want. The question you must ask yourself is this: am I willing to accept physical and emotional pain, or even give up my life to uphold my beliefs and the principles of this great country? We are on the right side of history, but that does not mean we won't have work, sweat, and even blood to shed for the nation to hold the nation accountable for the promises it makes, including the self-evident truths that we lawfully hold above other nations, including the right to the pursuit of happiness, which many families and even an entire town have been violated. This can no longer be someone else's struggle. Heather Heyer should not have had to die for her beliefs. However, if we hold true to our shared beliefs, she did not die in vain. Her legacy must be as the torchbearer to guide the movement to a better tomorrow, a 21st century Lady Liberty, beckoning us to new shores of peace and prosperity. Today we mourn. We mourn the loss of one who we aspire to be. Some of us mourn the deaths of ideals we thought were universal and woven into our national fabric. And we mourn the fact that such a time should ever have come to pass. Today we mourn, but tomorrow we fight.
We have with us Joe Ellebrook, who is with the Democratic Socialists of America.
Hey, everybody. My name is Joe Ellebrook, and you good? Hey, everybody. My name is Joe Ellebrook, and I am honored to serve as the co-chair of Central Iowa Democratic Socialists of America. I am moved by the solidarity in this space. Thank you all for showing up. But I am more moved by the selflessness of everyone who put their bodies on the line against fascism in Charlottesville, including 2 DSA members injured by that vicious act of white supremacist terror. Somebody ran a car and said a crowd of 20 people. In our tradition, we call these people comrades, which means nothing more than that we have each other's back. That's what that means. I want to honor Heather Heyer, especially, the young woman martyred by that attack. You might not hear this in the news, and I feel especially obligated to honor this, but Heather was a member of IWW. Are y'all familiar with them? The Wobblies? Yeah. So, the Wobblies were formed over 100 years ago under a simple vision, a simple idea that an injury to one is an injury to all. They got workers to stand up for each other and against the bosses. They trained the crucial organizers in Iowan labor history. The soul of the labor movement is 1,000 unmarked graves of wobbly organizers just like Heather. They dreamed of something they called one big union. Poor and working men, women and men of all creeds and colors, finding their power to demand a more dignified life, to build a world where it's easier to do the right thing. This is the world that Heather died for. And nothing, make no mistake, nothing scares racists and the ruling class quite like the prospect of one big union, kind of like what we got going here, right? And this is complicated, what we're up against. How many of y'all heard about the Nissan factory union vote in Canton, Mississippi? How many? Good. One of the hardest places in the country to unionize. This is a mostly black workforce and a town controlled by white supremacy, where some have worked so hard that they can't close their hands or bend down to pick up their kids. They lost the vote but bravely brought together 1,300 yes votes in the face of an unforgivably racist, union-busting campaign by Nissan, working explicitly with white supremacists to tell black workers that they would go back to the field if they ever unionized. White supremacy, patriarchy, and a capitalist economy ruled by a tiny few as a vexing force to defeat. But Heather and the Wobblies lived the answer with solidarity. An injury to one is an injury to all. In closing, I won't make anybody here sing. Right. But when Wobblies get together like Heather, when workers' groups and socialists get together, they sing. Woody Guthrie wrote a song for Wobblies just like Heather, who gave their lives for that one big union. I paraphrased it a bit because you can do that with folk songs. But it's here. There's new dirt falling on a new-made coffin. Oh, tell me who's that they're lowering down? Another union organizer, way over in that union-bearing ground. A union mother, a union father, a union sister, a union brother. Every new grave brings 1,000 members to that union in that union-bearing ground. Good luck, Heather. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. And now we have the great Representative Akeo Abdul Samad.
He is the only Muslim in the Iowa State Legislature.
I think Connie's
and I
trying
live
to
in his
embarrass you.
district.
Good evening. Good evening. Do better than that. Good evening. Good evening. Let's do it together. Good evening. Good evening. I say to everyone here, I always give honor to God before I get started, and I was told to be very short, so I'm going to do that. But first of all, I want to say shalom to my Jewish brother. I want to say peace be upon you to all my Christian brothers, my atheist brothers, and everyone else. To my Muslim brothers and sisters, I say to you, assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam.
All of that means peace. Well, we just talk about peace. But in my little presentation, I like the children. Can we get some children up here? Can y'all come up here? So this is why we're here. It's about the babies. We have any more children? Come on up. It's about the babies. See, some of us already went crazy. See, now we got to think about the babies. But in thinking about the babies, we have to have some real conversation. The problem, the reason why people can perpetuate hate is because we don't have those real conversations every day. I heard a speaker a minute ago say we got to talk to one another. But we not only got to talk, we have to learn to listen. A lot of times we hear, but we don't listen. You see, when somebody's in pain, we always try to fix it instead of try to listen. A lot of times you can't fix something if you don't have the tools to fix it. We have to begin to develop tools. What we're seeing today, and where you were at this age at one point, and what these children are growing up seeing now is happening decade after decade after decade after decade. Charlottesville is not the first time. We had Ferguson and we had other areas that people were crying out, talking about injustice. Now we have individuals that call themselves white supremacists and neo-Nazis because of the reference point, because nobody educated them. We didn't have black history in school. We didn't have women's history in school. We weren't ready for the immigrants that came to this country, so we never educated them. So when Donald Trump, and this ain't political, no, I don't talk about nobody. Isn't that right, man? What's that before? That's my brother. But when Donald Trump became the match to the fuse that lit up the powder keg, we acted surprised. This powder keg has been here. These children are an effect of the powder keg now. Now for us to put that fuse out, that means we have to stand up and start having some real conversation. What I loved about when I got called to Germany about 4 years ago,
They said we want to talk about human and civil rights because we have some racism come out. I got to Germany and was shocked. I was met at the train station by white folks. And they looked at me and they said, we want you to talk, but we know what our job is. We have to talk to our own people and let them know we're not going to stand for this. We're going to stand up. And I said, wow, that's cool. I'm going to take y'all back to Iowa. But they said, we have to. And I'm saying to you that for us to do this together, that when somebody talks about one of these babies and talk about the color of the skin, we got to tell people it's all right to be different. I don't matter being different. When I looked out this episode, I saw you were different than me. Not only that, you got more hair than me. But Yahweh is human, but he has a history that I need to learn about. I can't be scared of his history. When I saw the Muslim sister wearing a hijab, I can't be scared, but I have to learn from her because I don't know what she goes through. When I saw my mayor, not Frank County, but Terry Colwell Johnson, the mayor of Oak Ridge, I don't know what it is to go through what a black woman goes through. I needed to talk to her. I need to learn from her. I can't turn around and act like, oh, I don't know you're a woman. How blind am I? I know she goes through trials and tribulations. When I want to know about the Holocaust, I talk to my Jewish brother. And he can tell me what he went through. When I talk to see my Muslim imam, I know that he has went through trials and tribulations, so I reach out to him. We got to quit waiting for people to reach to us. We have to reach out to you. We have to reach out and say it's all right to be different. I want to learn from you. But there's some things that we can find out from each other so our similarities have substance. Right. I'm tired of our similarities being thrashed in the ground by individuals who are miseducated, by individuals that don't even love themselves. We have to learn to be able to love each other. How do we teach these babies if we don't even know our neighbor? How do we teach the babies if they don't see us reaching out to those adults that we see every day? If I'm not mistaken, help me, Christian preacher. Would you tell what it say in the Bible? I think it's in John. It says, how can you love me whom you can't see? When you can't love your neighbor who you see every day, you're a liar. That's what it says. In the Quran it says that I have created you in the nation and tribe so you get to know one another, not despise one another. Talk to me. We are here to be able to stand together, but we can't stand together after somebody dies. We can't just stand together after there's been an incident. We have to stand together, as our brother said earlier, together every day. That's right. Every single day. My thing is, if you don't like me, call me. Tell me why you don't like me, so we can talk about it. After we talk about it, you still may not like me, but at least we talked about it. If you don't like something that's going on in the country, join something. Join somebody. If it's just two of you, come together and make it happen. Quit running around talking about ain't nobody doing nothing. Quit running around talking about woe is me. Woe is not us. Because the struggle is real and it's winnable. We can win this together. We can stand together. We can greet one another. We can make our children proud to be Americans. We can make them proud to know one another. Today when you leave here, you meet somebody you don't know. And then walk up and do the thing that we're scared to do all the time. Give me a hug, baby. Touch somebody you don't know. Now, so I can sit down because I went past my 3 minutes. But this is important. This is important.
I want you to join hands real quick. I'm going to sit down. Join hands real quick. Where's Matt McCoy? Matt, come up here and join hands with me. This is my brother. Matt McCoy, Senator Matt McCoy is my brother. Marty Anderson, come join hands with me. Rabbi, come join hands with me. Imam, come join hands with me. When I see Matt, I love this man. I hug this man. I don't care what you say about Matt McCoy. I love this man because I like he stands for what is right. I love my rabbi. You can't just be a Jewish rabbi, you gotta be my rabbi too. Because that's the only way we join together. I'm not worried about whether you're Republican or Democrat. I'm not whether you are Christian or Jew. I'm not whether you're atheist. You're my brother. You're my sister. We are in this together and not alone. We will stand together. Now I want you to take the hand. I want you to raise up. And I want you to repeat after me. I am your brother. I am your sister. I am here to stand for love. I'm here to tell you we will stand together. I don't care what you look like. I don't care what you smell like. I don't care what your religion is. Because we are here together today, tomorrow, for the baby. God bless you. Hug the person next to you.
Nobody can do it like a tail, that's for sure.
Yeah,
We're not done. Don't go anywhere. I know that sounded like the end because it's always awesome. I'd like to introduce to you Reverend Milton Cole Duvall from St. Timothy's Episcopal.
I'm here to tell you that we can make a difference. I am a son of the South, and I grew up in Virginia. I was appalled when I heard what transpired. I grew up during a time of massive resistance when schools were closed rather than integrate. And there were people that stood tall and said, we're not living by that. And the schools did not close where I lived. I grew up speaking for the right of a black and a white to marry in Loving versus Virginia. I spoke and debated that in my high school and I was booed. But I'm here to tell you that the Supreme Court ruled that blacks and whites and men and women and everybody can marry. We've come a long way. We can make a difference. I was invited to go to the March on Washington when we gathered at the Lincoln Memorial. I was scared as hell. That's a theological term, I can say that. Because nobody in my town, nobody in my family, nobody on my street went. But I went, and those of us that gathered, some 250,000 strong, made a difference. We can make a difference. I was a student at the College of William and Mary and invited to go from Selma to Montgomery. I went, never telling my parents until one of them was in the grave and the other one had Alzheimer's.
No, I didn't see it, just the other.
But we went and we made a difference. We made a difference. The country and the world heard. You and I, we can make a difference. I was interviewed at a church for a job in Detroit. There was already a senior white male minister. And I said, why in the heck aren't you hiring a person of color or a woman? I talked myself out of that job. A black woman was hired. It took me 9 more months to get a job, but we can make a difference even when we're unemployed. Racism grows in the shadows. Now it seems to be okay when leaders do not speak out. Maya Angelou said, hate, it has caused a lot of problems in the world, but has not solved one problem yet. Thank you for your patience.
He's flipping his pages.
So we are called to speak out against white supremacy. We are here to speak out to make a difference. So leadership in Washington has been anemic. It's been insufficient. It's been unacceptable. It took the name that shall not be mentioned 48 hours to respond to the violence in Charlottesville. In 2 minutes, he can speak out against Maxine Waters and John Lewis in 2 minutes. It doesn't make sense. There's a political vacuum in our midst. There's a leadership vacuum in our midst. There's a moral vacuum in our midst. But that doesn't mean we are not called to replace that vacuum. So Washington, if you need a model for civility, look here. Come to Iowa. Connie and gang can teach you a thing or two. We can teach you, Washington, a better way. We can teach you a human way. We can teach you an inclusive way. We can teach you about the Constitution and what it says and what it stands for, in case you, Washington, never knew it or you forgot it. Thank you.
So what did you learn today? Love. You learned to act and do something. You learned to reach out, join forces, to speak up, stay engaged, address bias, unite, put the neighbor back in the hood. You know I'm going to use that again sometime. You learned that words matter and to use your voice. You learned that individual opportunity working toward action. You learned to take action every day. We heard injury is to one is an injury to all. We're not going to stand for this. You heard and you saw and you know that it is about our babies. To know our neighbors, to reach out, that you are the light. And so I offer this to you as a moment, as a meditation, as a prayer, however you hear it. My heart is with our neighbors in Charlottesville who are living in disbelief, fear, and grief. May the healing begin for you and the love of others bring you peace. My heart is with my friends who are African American and Jewish and Muslim and Latino and Latina and women and LGBTQ who live in that disbelief and that fear and that grief every day. May you know there are friends and there are neighbors who are with you, who love you, and will always stand at your side. My heart aches for those who are neo-Nazi and white supremacists and live their lives based in hate and bigotry and violence. I do not understand you and will always oppose your words and your actions, but I pray that you find a new path based in love and respect and kindness. My heart is with our children. You deserve a better world and a better future. My heart is with our country, that we learn from our history and find our way to justice, respect, and love for all humanity. I look at myself, that I might find the courage to always stand up against hate and bigotry and violence. May I always have the strength to fight against racism, anti-Semitism, and all the isms of our society. And may I always stand for love, respect, and justice. We can only move forward with love and justice if we do this together. May it be so. I'd like to bring Ben Alloway back up. And if you don't have a candle, you should get one. There's a few left in the basket. And if it is not lit, go ahead. Oh, no. If your candle is not lit, please light it, because there's plenty of light around. And so share yours with your neighbor. The hashtag, again, of your Unite the Love. Hashtag Unite the Love.
If you're not familiar with a hashtag, you push the number sign or pound sign, then Unite the Love next to it without spaces. That way it becomes searchable on social media, YouTube,
with your feet like this.
Facebook, and Twitter.
Can I hear you? And if you have a free hand, you can clap one hand on your leg, or if you can't walk, you can clap, or if you can't clap, you can make whatever sound you want to make. You're going to be my drum section. And then some of you, if there's any monotones out there, if you just want to do something more interesting, keep the walking going, keep it going. Just hum this note. The rest of you are going to echo me, okay? You're going to echo me. All right, here we go. Justice is moving. Justice is moving. Justice is growing. Justice is growing. Justice is all of our love light showing. Justice is all of our love light showing. Justice is caring. Justice is caring. Justice is believing. Justice is believing. Justice is all of God's children singing. Justice is all of God's children singing. Honor is moving. Honor is moving. Look it down. Honor is growing. Honor is growing. Honor is all of our love light showing. Honor is all of our love light showing. Love is caring. Love is caring. Love is believing. Love is believing. Love is all of God's children singing. Love is all of God's children singing. Bravery. Bravery. Honor. Honor. Courage. Courage. Love. Love. Bravery. Bravery. Courage. Courage. Honor. Honor. Love. Love. Love is all of God's children singing. Love is all of God's children singing. Again. Love is all of God's children singing. Louder. Love is all of God's children singing. We shall overcome. We shall overcome. Where's the harmony? We shall overcome someday. Oh, deep in my heart.
Lift your lights up and show the world. All right.
Thank you for being here.
Raise your candles.
Thank you for all of our speakers for sharing your wise words and your courage. Go out and share your light in a world that is broken and help to fix it each and every day. Thank you.
Well, to conclude tonight's vigil, I'm going to stay on for just a little bit. People are blowing out their candles, putting them back in the basket. Oh, thank you, Jen.
Can you see me? My name is Kay Hurst. I used to work with you at Oxford.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, and I see your name in the paper all the time, so I just want to say hi.
Yeah, I'm a Muslim.
I know, I can tell. But you're kind of a rabble-rouser, aren't you?
Yep,
Yeah,
but I do it for good cause.
I know you do. Well, you're always a very
you were trying to stop the dang dragon pipeline.
I know, you've been up there a lot.
Yep.
I just want to say hi to you. Okay?
Yep. I'm going to see if I can get a hand a little bit.
Careful, careful, careful.
Oh, yeah. Oh, good. Okay. I'll give you one last look at the crowd. I would guess it's probably a few hundred at the highest, maybe 1,000. I suck at crowd guessing, so I apologize for that. But once I get home, I will upload this video. I'm recording on Bamboozer, so I will upload this to Bamboozer. And then from there I can download it to my computer and I will upload it to YouTube and Facebook. People here, several denominations, Christian denominations, as well as Jewish, Muslim, and disabled people are here. As well as members of the LGBT community here. So again, I want to thank you for watching, and stay tuned for future stuff coming from me, whether I stream on Bamboozer or Ustream or just straight up to YouTube or whatever. There'll be more stuff for me to cover, so thanks for watching and catch you on this video.